Hey guys, Clover here. So I been looking into a couple different things, been researching a few different things, and meeting with some people, and I wanted to go over that a little bit. First, I've been, for those of you guys that are kind of new to my stream, I've been working on getting my desk set up here for a while. So it's finally a little bit more the way I like it. So I've got 3 separate computers set up. This one, unfortunately, I don't know, and so now I got to get that thing fixed. But yeah, I like my setup a little bit better now that I've got 3 working computers that I can work off of my laptop if I need to. But recently, like I went and took a look at a company called ICO Mining, and they've got a really interesting operation they're doing. Had another expat friend of mine that was looking into a company called Grab Mining, and then there was another one that's kind of more known here in Vietnam as Sky Mining. I think Sky Mining might actually be one of the larger ones. But my intention is over the next several weeks, several months, I'm going to be looking into basically investing in those companies that I see as a good fit, as kind of being a legitimate mining operation. I know ICO for one, like I toured their mining facility, which is really interesting. And I have some video on that. I'm going to be posting that once, I mean, part of it was I was trying to get my, my setup. So I like to do a lot of my video editing on my Mac. So I need to send it in for repair, but looking forward to getting that online so I can get some more video out there. Those mining companies, I mean, one of the things I kind of wanted to look into is for those that I'm kind of, offering my advice in the cryptocurrency space, I think mining is a very safe way to go. You're investing a certain amount of money and or crypto, however you want to look at it, depending on the rewards of the mining contracts or whatnot that you choose. This gives you some crypto to play with in the space. So it's a little bit different than earning it, through some of these other platforms, through trading or through just, buying it with a fiat. But those are some really interesting ones I've been looking at. I've been looking at Decentralized Exchange. Had a really interesting conversation with a guy that was, I guess, maybe term him an investor, a large investor in this WCX exchange. I did a review of a bunch of decentralized exchanges before, and I left a bunch of links to that, but one that I left out was this Kyber network, and I started doing a lot of research on that one, kind of going down the rabbit hole on that exchange. So I'm interested because it's doing actually some pretty considerable volume, and it rivals IDEX in terms of its size. When I was looking into that, I came into this other interesting one, which was the IDAX. So I was on this one here. So IDAX, this one is a Chinese exchange. You can see here a little bit. So it's, this looks like an interesting one that I want to learn a little bit more about. It's right now it's on CoinMarketCap. You can kind of see like it's trading Ethereum status, this loop ring. Some of these kind of, I've recognized these. I've seen these trending at certain times. So it's only doing about 12 million in trading. Here is kind of the way it is in terms of volumes of trading. So it's an interesting exchange. And then the other one that I was looking at was this WCX, which was in an ICO phase. And let me switch this around here. So this WCX exchange I think is interesting because it had a fairly sizable ICO. There's some interesting info online. I know when you first log into this website, it's all Vietnamese. So this is Vietnamese based, this project is the way I'm understanding it. But this is kind of going over some of the different exchanges, I guess some of the problems and what they're planning on doing with this exchange. And so the guy that I met with was a pretty large investor and was trying to teach me about it. And so we had a translator. He's going to get his translator, and that way we'll be able to communicate a little bit better. Yeah, BCCX, that's as far as I know, like that one hasn't launched yet. It was supposed to launch in April. You know, who knows what's going on with that? I haven't received any info or updates on that, but let's take a quick peek. I mean, every time I kind of come to it, it seems like it has the, you know, really the same information, like it really hasn't changed, which is not reassuring. But, you know, my suggestion, I think, with the exchange at this point is to make it decentralized, and I'm not sure if that's really in the plans here. BitConnect exchange, it's really still pretty much the same. Download wallets. There's a few guys that have done and things like that on it, so there's some functionality behind it, is the way I'm understanding it. My music go. Where's the new wallpaper? Yeah, well, I'm kind of hiding it, I guess, with the computer screens. Still there, but I like this a little better, so I got the white background over here. So, I understand why my phone's not working. These exchanges, I'm really interested, because I think if you've been following me, I think really since, you know, the fallout of BitConnect, one of the big things I started kind of getting into was diversification, because I see that as a big problem that I had. Was like, you know, Little Central, I had quite a bit invested in that project and got burned. And so now one of the ways to mitigate that risk is to really get into a number of different projects. And so that's why I'm looking. I want to find 3 really legit mining companies here in Vietnam. You know, ones that I would recommend. There's some of them have affiliate or you know, referral based a little bit more into that. There's the longest standing one has been Genesis Mining, and so I put that also in the description below. That was one I was being heavily promoted, I would say in like 2016, 2017. They just got their like cease and desist letter a little while ago, so they were having some legal issues. I know there were some payout issues. I haven't really checked into the status of that. I haven't logged into my account in a long time. I do know it is slowly pumping out some Ethereum into some of the wallets I have. I do see that. So but that's really about all I've been looking into it. But Gigawatt Mining was another one that I'm looking into. Gigawatt Mining is a company that I went and visited last summer, and I think that there's you know, I think it's a very legitimate project, but I'm not really sure as far as the status with that, so I need to look a little bit further into that. But those were the 2 that I was kind of looking at. I think the thing I wanted to do is I wanted to get away from US-based mining operations. I think that the regulatory environment around those is going to be increasingly worse. So like the situation for Genesis Mining or some of these other mining companies in the US, especially if they are, you know, being promoted perhaps through like affiliate marketing, that might be something that, again, it's you're going to see regulators maybe getting into. So I think getting into companies that are outside of that framework are going to be much better. Vietnam's going to have different, you know, rules, and that's something I'm kind of looking into in terms of like how it's going to be regulated here. However, it does seem that there's a lot of advantages to being here in Asia. And there's actually some articles that I was reading that when a lot of these fallouts of the mining companies were happening in China started clamping down on ICOs. They started clamping down on mining operations. There was a lot of that movement went into the northern part of Vietnam and kind of moved right across the border.
it was a little bit different. Regulatory environment wasn't as perhaps heavily as regulated as it is in China. So there was a lot of mining equipment that moved across the border. Now Vietnam has basically outlawed it as a payment method, but there's still probably, I guess I would say, maybe a little bit more lenient in terms of like how they're looking to regulate it. So they seem to be a very good place for research and development. I'm not sure how transparent these mining companies are going to be, though, and I think that's an interesting challenge, I guess, to work with. I know that Grab Mining seemed to be like they were very private about some of the things they were doing. They were having a little bit of some technical issues there for a while. Asimo, when I was trying to sign up, was having some issues. So there's like still issues, I guess. Maybe the software's a little buggy, but once I think some of those things really get ironed out, I think these could be some really legitimate projects. And I think one of the other things that I'm, to kind of talking about like the decentralized exchanges, and I'm becoming more interested in like I've been seeing a lot of talk about proof of weak hands and understanding this DappRadar a little bit more. And so I remember when they were talking about kind of the active users surpassing CryptoKitties a while back, and now it's really become the primary one on this chart. Ether Delta, which is now Fork Delta, the IDEX exchange, Kyber, which was another network that I was mentioning a little bit before. So these are monitoring the DAUs, daily active users. So you're getting some of these ones with higher traffic, and I think that this technology is another one that I'm kind of looking into. So I know a lot of people are getting into proof of weak hands. What I'm interested in maybe looking at doing is seeing how the different projects compare. I don't think government's really even understanding what this is right now, or what its potential could be in this market. I think it would be something that has to be looked at a little bit deeper in terms of its impact on the crypto space. It's a decentralized smart contract, and there's some interesting elements with that. There's some interesting advantages. I think one of the things is that it avoids some of the issues that BitConnect may have had, or some of these other companies that are receiving cease and desist letters or regulatory compliance issues. If you're none of those and you're not falling under the Securities Act, or the security something that would be deemed as a security, you're maybe falling out of some of these regulatory frameworks. And it seems like it's almost like an experiment in space. It's something we saw. We didn't see anything like this last year in 2017. It seems to be a recent kind of phenomenon. And so I'm monitoring it and I'm looking into it a little bit more. I'm interested in doing some research on it. I've been watching a lot of videos on it lately. I'm interested in some of the other projects. I know there's this proof of weak mines. There's POWTF. It seems to be you have a lot of these clones. You can clone software. There were some issues, I think, with some of them that the smart contract was set to expire. It was actually built into the code. So there could be some traps and things like that that are potentially could devalue significantly. I think I think it's an interesting project. I'm looking a little bit more into it. Curious to see what other people would have to say about it. Proof of weak clones, or killing the proof of weak hands. Yeah. I think one thing. I was like, maybe I'm going to start getting into this or whatever, and then I started doing some research with the finding out about a lot of those clones and stuff, the software that was kind of running in the background. That seemed pretty sketchy to me. But after looking into it a little bit more, perhaps that was, who knows really what that was. But I think that the more the more these start to develop in the space, I think that these can be interesting. It's a different kind of thing. Like, you know, most coins are centralized. You know, the only really decentralized coins that's going to be like Bitcoin or you know, there's not a whole lot that, you know, that come to mind. I mean, most of them have a centralized company running it, or at least advising it, or whatnot. So it's hard to regulate some of these things that are running on people's computers all over the world. And so you're essentially developing a network, and it reminds me a lot of the BitTorrent network that kind of came into the space about 10 years ago, and really kind of disrupted at that time, which was like, you know, the DVD market, the you know, kind of media content market, because you could get all of that, you know, you could download all of that for free on the internet if you knew what you're doing. So you know, this is a different element in finance, and you're seeing a lot of people or governmental agencies want you know, in on at least their particular, you know, what they're going to be wanting to take as far as taxes. But in order to tax it, I feel like there has to be some sort of kind of regulation behind it. I just don't see how that's really going to be at least anything that's going to be feasible in the next several years. So these are going to continue these kind of phenomenons in the space. In a sense, this looks like this is one of them right now. So yeah, so I'm looking into it. Let me check in with the chat a little bit. How can you stomach the idea of becoming proof of weak hands? I think, you know, there's a lot of people that are very negative about things that happen in space, and not everyone really has the full story. And I think it would be unwise to basically just paint things as things that are just, you know, inherently evil. You know, when we haven't really seen or really even understand what they are. These smart contracts, these things this is a phenomenon. You know, this is happening whether you like it or not. And so it has to be something, I think, that has to be taken a look at. It's at least from a daily users. You know, it's number one on the Ethereum blockchain in terms of its daily users. So this has been a pretty recent phenomenon. Now the exchanges, I think, was where I think a lot of things I saw were kind of going into the exchange market. I think you might start to see it change a little bit. So this is one, the smart contracts, but there's different elements. And so I think what I like to do is I like to get people invested into very conservative ways to make cryptocurrency through mining, through you know, smart trading and whatnot. And then there's some of these projects that I think are worth the risk if you're willing to get into it. I think just, you know, I don't think it'd be something where you can just really be too dismissive of it. What's going on, Adventures? I think VCC Tank, then I was saying that we should do BitConnect on a smart contract. You know, the BitConnect developers are anonymous. So the thing is we don't really know. You know, we're not going to get, you know, any updates unless something like happens with the platform. You know, the way I'm understanding some of the smart contracts is, I guess it can be finalized to a point where it kind of runs itself. It's kind of the decentralized aspect to it, and it's kind of the next step. I mean, there's a lot of people that made money in BitConnect, and we don't really know, you know, the full story of kind of what's happening, and if it was truly, in fact, like what all of the people are kind of labeling it as, without really kind of knowing the full story. I mean, it was really, you know, anonymous. Now I think that you're seeing kind of different elements. Even though this company was anonymous, they may have been using some of these stories that they had to scam. They may have been doing it as a it's hard to say, but I think that there's new opportunities that are opening up. I think that the exchange market was the one that I was kind of looking into here recently, and that's where we're seeing kind of a rise of decentralized exchanges, because even the top exchanges in the world are starting to get attacked. So the one example I'm bringing up is Binance, the number one exchange right now in the world. Is they're moving their entire operation because of government regulations, and so I think getting into a more of a decentralized framework is a whole other step, and I think that's going to be the big trend of 2018. Two states stopped BCC. I do not blame BCC. I blame those two states. It's hard to say if that was the full reason as to what was going on. They were saying they were getting attacked. They were getting DDoS attacked. We don't have proof of that, right? So there's no way to really verify that. The one thing we do know and we can verify are the cease and desist letters. At least that's documented. If they were truly decentralized, they probably could have sidestepped that, and that was essentially something that I was kind of thinking that the company was going to do. Is they were just going to keep moving forward. How are you going to stop this train? I don't know. I don't know what happened. We can't really take a small position. If I said, like my advice, like I'm not, going and saying, hey, put a bunch of, like I'm saying, like if I get into it, I'm getting into it small, like a lot of these other projects I'm getting into, diversify, get into a lot of different things, and then kind of, look at it. But, you have to almost like look at it like that money's gone, and it's a very high risk. It's very high risk. So, but I think that's kind of built into it. It's almost like, I guess it's almost like programmed to like perhaps rise and collapse and kind of have different pump notes at certain times depending on what's going on. And it could get hacked. I guess one of the stories that I've been hearing is that it was the reason I guess it was like 3D was, I guess it was the third version. I don't know. But the new ASIC coming, will that affect all markets in a big way or not that much? What if the maker uses a certain coin first before they sell it in public? That's probably a little bit of a deeper mining question than I'm outside of like my knowledge area, but like I know that those ASIC miners are pretty popular, and typically when you go into some of these mining farms, you see just rows and rows of them. Like that was definitely the one that was in the mining farm that I was in here with Asthma, but they're getting into like these like smaller mining, like kind of self-sufficient mining computers, and they can mine different currencies, not just like Bitcoin. They do a lot of smaller altcoins, and so I think that's an interesting market there. It's going to be more profitable, I would imagine, to mine some of these smaller market altcoins, and so that's something I'm interested in, because Bitcoin mining tends to not really be that profitable. And a lot of people are saying, that's even with the cloud mining, Bitcoin might not necessarily be the best pair to get into when you start to get into mining. Yeah, just rather buy crypto. I think that it's definitely more liquid to have, the crypto at hand. I think that mining could, it's essentially the foundation of all of the transactions that are happening on the blockchain. It's the process of also minting new coins. And if you can have some stability, at least in your portfolio, where you have like 10% of your cryptocurrency, at least it's something where you're generating those coins. I mean, one of the ideas that I had was like, how much would it take for me to take, you know, a certain amount of crypto that I have, invest in these mining companies, and live here in Vietnam just on the crypto that's being generated through those mining companies. So basically, that I would be living on crypto mining. So that was an interesting project I'd like to explore if I can make that happen. The banks and things I'm kind of looking into, there's a lot of different banks. I set up one account with one bank here. I'm looking into another one. They have some of the ways you transact into Bitcoin from fiat here. The fiat here is Dong. So getting in from you know, crypto into Dong, and some of the exchange points for that, like Vietcombank used to be like the big one that everyone used here, but now that's changed because I guess they started implementing fees, and so there's another bank that people are using that doesn't have any fees. So when you mine Ether, what wallet do you use? I actually just use my it has like a wallet, at least in Genesis Mining, which is the only one that I currently have, crypto mining. It goes into like a wallet. Once it hits like a certain balance, it spits it out to the wallet that you provide. And so I provided my Coinbase wallet address, and so it goes in there. And so like I can use it with my Shipcoin if I wanted to. Right now I got it hooked up to Bitcoin. I don't really have anything right now. I've been using it to kind of, you know, buy food here and there or whatnot. So it tends to not be the best card to transact with here in Asia. For some strange reason, it doesn't work as well as some of my other cards. So I'd say it's about 50-50 chance. Yeah, I guess that's my problem with the P3D shilling aspect of it. You know, because I mean, even the way I understand it, like the referral, you know, marketing system's not all that great. And so if it's not really all that great, then why are people so incentivized for the shilling aspect of it? I don't know. Like, I know that some of the links that I provided with like the exchanges, and some of these other signups, like I get a little bit of a kickback from that. It's not a whole lot. Like I know with the exchanges in particular, like I think I added it up one time. Like I had a Binance, my Binance account, and I was looking into some of it, and it was only like $5 to $10. So like I didn't really get anything from it because it was just very, very small percentages of coins that I wasn't even really transacting with on there. But you know, it's something, right? So some of those, you know, may be more profitable than others. So maybe if Perfect Weekends is the most profitable one to make videos on, you know, about, and that's going to give some incentive for people to do that. And so you're going to see more of those videos, but it doesn't necessarily make it legitimate, right? But so I don't know. Like I mean, I want to, you know, try to be in the most legitimate projects I can, but you know, I think people are turned off by the shilling aspect of some of these projects. However, some of them are, you know, worth taking a look at. Yeah, shilling gets more people, and more people increases the coin value. Plus, you get the commission on their buys and sells if they use your master node. Yeah. Yeah, I want to get into the trading bots aspect of it. I'm thinking about setting it up on this computer right here. So I just got this thing hooked up. I still need to get the keyboard for it. So my keyboard on my Mac went bad. I mean, I'd like to get into even doing like a little like low level mining. Like I don't really want to set up like a mining farm in here or anything, but maybe if I had like one or two and I was like, you know, just kind of experimenting with it, maybe mining some really small altcoins or something, I think that are, they got a lot of potential. But I do want to get into more of the trading bots, Hosbot. There's Gunbot. There's a few others that are out there that that's also another one. Like if you have some crypto that you're able to kind of use, you can kind of put it on both sides in the software and kind of let it do its thing. And the ones that I made with my buddy in California seem to do pretty well. Whether or not it scales is another thing. Yeah, Haas is really buggy. Yep, I did notice that, but that was last year, so I don't know what it's like now. But I was having a lot of connectivity issues with the server. I was having some issues with, I guess there was just I was able to work through most of everything that I had, but probably the workflow wasn't as great. So that's why I was like, I don't know how much time I really want to spend with it. I definitely want to set it up and kind of get it running and going. And I want to do some videos on it and see if it scales and see if there's there's potential in a certain niche with it. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking into it. I think there's some guys here in Vietnam that have done a little bit of that work. So again, I kind of have to work with some of my translators to kind of work with some of these guys because not all of them speak all of it much English. But other than that, I think that's kind of about it. So I'm going to start kind of looking into some of this stuff and want to put out some interesting videos. Let me know what you guys are interested in kind of looking at or want me to comment on. If I can look into some projects, I think that I can do some videos on it. I've kind of been in an interesting track, I guess, with kind of the decentralized aspect of some of these newer cryptocurrency projects, and what the implications of that are from a regulatory standpoint, if any, and kind of the future of that, because I think we're really in the beginning stages of that right now. So I'm interested to kind of see where the market kind of goes. Because it's as a whole, it's starting to recover a little bit. It was right around 250 billion, been up to as high as 270, 260. So it's starting to kind of recover a little bit. And I feel like right after tax season, mid-April, I think we might just start to see another little bit of a boom. But all right, guys. Well, like and subscribe, and I will try to get a little bit more consistent with doing these videos. At least maybe 3 or 4 times, 3, 4, maybe 5 times a week. Kind of putting out little status updates on some of the things on projects I'm researching and things I'm kind of getting into. So, the networking opportunities here in Vietnam, I think, are really interesting. There's some issues with language barrier, and so I'm kind of working through that. And so it's an interesting little challenge. But all right, guys, stay easy.